Welcome to my channel. This is Alofon English Lab. Today we want to look at phrases. What are phrases? How do you know a phrase when you come across one? Very important. There are some things we're going to look at the end of the lesson. Number one, you should be able to describe a phrase, identify the characteristics of a phrase, and also identify phrases in sentences. Let's dive in. Now, phrase is one of the grammatical units in English language. Let's see some of the features of a phrase. How do you see a phrase when you come across one? Number one, it is a group of words. For example, the beautiful girl. The beautiful girl. It is a group of words. Number two, it does not make a complete sense. The beautiful girl doesn't make a complete sense. So when you see a group of words that does not make a complete sense, it can be termed a phrase. Number three, it may not have a verb, e.g., a tall man. A tall man doesn't have a verb. You have just three words and there's no verb there. So when you come across an expression without a verb, then know surely that expression is a phrase. Now, the fourth one, it could have a non-finite verb. If at all you're going to see a verb in a phrase, the verb must be a non-finite verb. If you want to get a better understanding of what a non-finite verb is, you can check some of my there's a video on that topic. I will link the link below so you can go through what a finite verb is and what a non-finite verb is. So in phrases, we have a non-finite verb. So when you see a non-finite verb, it is a phrase in an expression. Also, a phrase only forms part of a sentence, just part of a sentence and nothing more. Now, having known the identification of the features of phrase, we can now describe what phrase is. A phrase can therefore be described as a group of words with a non-finite verb or without a non-finite verb, which only forms part of a sentence. So it's a group of words with a finite verb or without a non-finite verb rather, or without a non-finite verb, and it only forms part of a sentence. That's the summary of what a phrase is. Now, note also that a phrase does not have a subject. In all the examples given, there is no subject and it doesn't have a predicate of its own. You won't see that in a phrase. You can only see that in a clause or a complete sentence. A phrase must be attached to a main clause or to a sentence to convey the required meaning. What that means is it cannot have a complete meaning unless it is attached to a phrase, to a clause, or to a sentence to convey the meaning intended. Now, examples of phrase. Let's look at some examples of phrase. Number one, they studied a science subject. They studied a science subject. The underlying expression, a science subject, is a group of words. There is no verb there. So it is a phrase and it doesn't make a complete sense. The second one to go there is to commit suicide. In the video on finite and non-finite verb, one of the ways to identify a non-finite verb is actually checking the to infinitive to go there. So when you see a feature like this, you know it's a non-finite verb and you only find that in phrases. Then the boy is a good student. A good student does not have a verb and it makes it a phrase. And the fourth one, an educated person is knowledgeable. An educated person is knowledgeable. An educated person does not have a verb and doesn't make a complete sense. All the underlined expressions are phrases because number one, they are group of words. Number two, they do not have verbs. Some of them do not have verbs. The one that has verb has a non-finite verb and they do not make complete meaning on their own. Therefore, they are termed phrases.